I'm honestly not sure about GTA 6's main story. That's one of the biggest concerns people have, is that the story is going to be off and maybe a little bit too PC or whatever. I really don't know how that plays out. Houser did leave, and apparently he's brought, I actually pulled this up. We've been talking about Rockstar and all of that stuff because Rockstar is about to announce GTA 6, which, let's just be honest, is that not like totally insane that we're already like, we're right on the cusp, literal days away from seeing a GTA 6 trailer. Like it hasn't really settled in yet. Like, this is something we've been talking about potentially happening for a decade, and we're almost there. Like, and we know for a fact we're almost there. It's really, really weird. Like, yeah, frothing at the mouth, blue balls. It's all, it doesn't feel real. I mean, we'll see if the trailer lives up to it. Who knows? But one of the big questions with GTA 6 is specifically the story. Because like with Saints Row, the reboot of that, I think a lot of people would agree that the biggest problem it suffered was that it had a real problem with tone, let's just say, especially with like the crazy cringe writing, the thought that like gamers would identify with these hipsters, like the thought that we would all identify with these guys. This is a video from Senti, who are like standing around shirtless, chatting and like rambling about their student loans and how they don't want to get a job because they don't want to buy into the capitalist patriarchal machine and all this. They just managed to write some of the most cringe, just uninteresting people. Like if I have people like this in my life, I stop hanging out with them because they're so annoying. But Saints Row's developers, Volition, they thought that this was what people would identify with, honestly. And so they put this together. And that's why like most of the accounts of the launch of Saints Row were that the developers were honestly shocked at the response. And I believe they actually doubled down when they were asked about this. Like people were asking them if they were going to change the writing or if they were going to shift it or something. But apparently they just like doubled down on it and were like, no, we're trying to do this. Like in a Eurogame interview, Lindgren said the upcoming game still feels like Saints Row, even if it's not the same characters, even if it's not the same setting, even if it's not exactly the same as before. Yeah, it's more vibrant and unique than previous entries. And they basically said, no, this is what we're doing and we're proud of it. And they probably shouldn't have been. Everybody's worried that this is going to be GTA 6, that we're going to have another situation like this. And part of the reason people are worried about that is because there are some big heavy hitters at Rockstar that are not there anymore. One of the biggest head honchos was Dan Houser. If you don't know Dan Houser, he's a co-founder of Rockstar, actually. And this guy is responsible probably for most of your favorite games. Like he's been involved like from the beginning. Okay. And he left Rockstar back in 2020. Thank you to everybody for the super chats and subs and stuff. I'll get to that at the end of the segment. Just, I'm not ignoring you. I just want to stay kind of on track. So don't worry. But he left Rockstar after 22 years with the company in 2020 to found Absurd Ventures. Now, Absurd Ventures is a brand new, I mean, yeah, look at all this stuff. He was the executive producer and writer on like all of these games: Bully, GTA 4, GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption, LA Noire, Max Payne 3, GTA 5, Red Dead 2. Like he's involved with all of it. And he left Rockstar 3 years ago. And it's not just him. He's brought with him a lot of top level talent. Longtime senior Rockstar developers are gathering at Absurd Ventures, the company started by Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser, which he started back in 2020 when he left Rockstar. He left and founded his own company. And he's hired GTA 5 and Red Dead 2 senior writer Michael Unsworth as the head of story, and Laszlo Jones is listed as a co-founder of the company. Is that not crazy? Very interesting. So a lot of people are wondering, for one, why did they leave? And two, what impact does this have on GTA 6 that these senior head honchos have left? On the one hand, okay, let's offer both sides of it, okay? On the one hand, this could simply be that the guys had gotten kind of bored with their work at Rockstar and that they were doing another Grand Theft Auto, and they're like, want to do something more experimental and crazy. So they decided to found their own company and go do that. So that could be it. It could be that simple. Okay. Could be that simple. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Could be nothing more than that. Or it could be that they grew disenfranchised with Rockstar some way, somehow. And this was something that Rocksteady actually recently dealt with when right before the announcement of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's gameplay and live service debacle, Rocksteady's co-founders left. Remember that horribly received trailer of the battle pass and all that stuff, the live service elements? That happened, I believe, in February of this year. But in October of last year, just a few months before that, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, the co-founders of Rocksteady, left. Seemingly because they knew that this game that they were putting out was going to be received probably fairly poorly, and they didn't want their name attached to it, so they left. And people are wondering if this is sort of the same thing that's happening at Rockstar, where maybe these guys see the writing on the wall and are deciding to get out and go do something they're actually passionate about before the crap hits the fan. Especially because we know of a lot of other stuff that is going on within Take-Two Interactive, where like the CEO of Take-Two Interactive is saying that they think that they should be able to charge like per hour for engagement on video games, that they think that the pricing models in current games are terrible. They're throwing out the possibility of perhaps even $100 plus versions of games on day one. So people are wondering if maybe they're seeing or hearing things that are going to be happening with GTA 6 that they don't want to be involved in, so they're leaving. To be clear, none of this is confirmed. Like, we don't know clearly one way or the other what this means. It could honestly just be that they were kind of bored of doing another GTA game and they decided to leave to do their own thing. Could be it. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It could be something also as simple. I believe Absurd Ventures, the company that they founded, is based out of, I think, New York. I don't recall exactly where. Yeah, Santa Monica. Okay, so it's all in Santa Monica. So it's based in Santa Monica, not New York. It's based in Santa Monica. Sometimes with this stuff, it's as simple as just wanting to move. Like if somebody who works in Fresno, but they want to live in Santa Monica and they get offered a job with their old buddy who left Rockstar to found his own company because he knew a wealthy investor who bankrolled it. Maybe they just go and they're like, hey, we can move to Santa Monica. Let's do that. And so they leave. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Just like for you, if you're offered a different job, all these other things can pile into it and change the conclusion. So I don't want to just jump to the conclusion that therefore GTA 6 is going to be terrible because there's frustrations with this or because of writers leaving. But who knows? We don't. We'll probably get a pretty good idea when we see the trailer as to the tone of the game. And then as we get more trailers and stuff, we'll get a better and better idea. But like cringe writing rears its ugly head very quickly. It's very hard to hide it. So, and usually, especially because the writers don't realize it's cringy, so they put it front and like foremost and are shocked when people respond negatively to it. And so I think if there is a sort of Saints Row reboot problem with GTA 6, we'll see it very, very early and it will be painfully obvious. So I think we'll know pretty quickly. Wasn't Forspoken more cringe than Saints Row reboot? I think Forspoken was... It depends on what you mean by cringe. For me, cringe is like that feeling when you're laughing at something or somebody because it's so bad that it's entertaining, but the person that you're laughing at doesn't realize they're being entertaining, at least for that reason. So like for Saints Row, it was so bad that it was like a car crash you couldn't look away from. And you wanted to still like, you were still intrigued. You're like, what is happening? What is happening here? But like they didn't realize that they were being cringy or that it was so bad that it was entertaining for all the wrong reasons. With Forspoken, it was just written so poorly that it was boring and like she just was not likable at all. So I think it was different. Like there was certainly cringe where she's trying to be funny and it's just not funny at all. And that almost makes it funny because it's like it kind of doubles down on it. But I think it's just different sides of it. Nice different sides of it. Cody, thank you for the $4.99. Could Dan Houser worked on GTA 6 pre-2020 and then finished his work there and moved on to Absurd Ventures? It's certainly possible. My understanding of the game dev cycle is that the writers are involved pretty much up until launch, with tweaking quest lines, cutting dialogue, reworking dialogue, rewriting stuff when they need to. So for like a head writer to leave 3 years out from launch, which presumably, according to like some of the recent reporting, that was only a year and a half into the development of GTA 6, like active development, that's very early to be leaving. And now it could have been that maybe somebody else came along and they promoted from within and they were just like, hey, this guy's younger and wittier and we're going to go with him. And so he left. Who knows? Forspoken, Joss Whedon dialogue, Saints Row, preachy mess. Yeah, it's like Saints Row tried to like also lecture people. Well, maybe it wasn't even lecture. It was like it was basically the college student thing of being like, yeah, and you know, Jeff Bezos, screw that guy. And then you ask like, why do you hate Jeff Bezos? And like they don't have anything. They're just used to saying that, and people not even clapping, doing like the college student. I can't stand that when people snap instead of clapping. It's like, you can clap. If you have one arm, I get it. Okay, I understand. If you have two hands and you're fully capable of clapping and everybody else is clapping, but you just go, I can't stand it. Like, what are you doing? Stop it. Drives me crazy. But like these types of people are used to just like saying random stuff like that, and then everybody going like a crab, and everybody's just like patting each other on the back. It's crazy. Luke being Thanos. Yeah. Snapping is only okay if you're doing slam poetry. Sometimes I feel like such an old man, you know. Stop snapping and clap like a real person, you know. He took my thing. Red